The professional services, well, that of the value-added services, that itself has been able to give India an edge over the real manufacturing sector. Banking sector has been growing in leaps and bounds in multiple heights altogether, from just a financial service provider to a one-stop solution provider. The implementation of goods and services taxes has also helped us a lot with one common platform, and we have been able to reduce the cost in various sectors with the availability of the tax credit. Good morning and welcome to the Session 5, Chapter 3, Unit 1, First Semester B.Ca, where in pre-reforms of Indian economy, where we are going to talk about service sector in India. Now, this is one sector that emerged after the year 1990, and that sector really took over the Indian economy by storm. Now, the reforms of the 1990s have been associated with the expansion of service sector, though in the midways of 1980s we had spoken about the sector, but nevertheless, after 1991, when we started on the path of liberalization, privatization and globalization, services sector became the success mantra for the Indian economy to grow. Now, when you start looking here, India had a serious problem in the year 91-92 when we were talking about the balance of payment. India was completely shaken out in terms of the money factor. The financial position was very bad. So we decided that let's open the gates of our boundaries so that we will start exporting, we will start becoming an export-oriented nation. Let's start embracing the open economy altogether. The service sector is not only dominant with India's GDP, but has also attracted a lot of foreign investment that has contributed significantly and has provided a large-scale employment to our country. Now, this is very important for us to understand. Why? Because when you look into the service sector, this has been an enabler, this has been a path driver which has been able to create employment for hundreds and thousands of people out there, and at the same time, services sector was able to give a new dimension to the Indian economy. One side, when we were concentrating only on manufacturing and agriculture, service sectors suddenly started booming in India, showing the presence of the skilled manpower that this country has. And the most important thing here is that with the opening up of privatization post 1992, we could understand that we have the competence to make ourselves more stronger in the international market, create a benchmark for ourselves, and also showcase our products, our services, and the talent which could attract huge amount of foreign investment back into our economy. Now, with that, when we started moving into the service sector, such as trade or hotel, restaurants, transport, when we talk about storage, communication, or about the financing, insurance, real estate business, a host lot of services that we have been talking about, all the sectors have been able to provide an amount of assurance to the Indian economy, stating the fact that yes, we are on the right track towards growth. Now, if you start looking into the hospitality and the tourism sector, India has never witnessed this amount of growth in the last 30-40 years, let's say. Why? Because this is the time period where India started improving its importance, its infrastructural facilities, especially in terms of transport and logistics, with n number of airports coming up in India. Privatization of railways is also on the cards, and then we are trying to bring in the high-speed rail, the metro, and so many other connectivity factors, which is making India more an accessible nation outwards. And the most interesting part of the story that we have to understand here is that the tourism destination, or the definition that India has given to the broader markets outside, is that we have been able to associate ourselves with a lot of service-oriented factors. Now, even if you start looking into insurance, real estate, or regarding to the community or the social services, India has been able to redefine itself very well. We have now come out with a lot of customer-based products, community-based products, that is able to generate income in multiple sources for us. So definitely the services sector has been a boon for the Indian economy. Followed by, let's look at the market size. The market size of the service sector in India is about 53% of the gross value added. And that's a huge amount that we are talking about. Why? Because when you talk about the presence of a sector that is over dominating the scenario with about 11.43% CAGR, compounded annual growth rate, probably this is one sector which is getting really exciting for every one of us to join in. Now, let me give you an example. At post 2015, when people started putting in their innovation into the fintech industry, the financial technologies. Now, we have a lot of payment services starting from Google Pay to Phone Pay to that of Paytm, MobiKwik, and several other factors that have all come across, where we have seen that there's been a huge revolution in terms of the financial services market. Now, what has been very predominant here, what has been really successful enough for us to talk about is that we have been looking constantly in terms of growth. We have been talking about growth in terms of multiple volumes, and we have also been very much interested about this factor that how is that the services sector is able to really pull along so well. Now, if you look here, the professional services, well, that of the value-added services, that itself has been able to give India an edge over the real manufacturing sector. In the last few years, you have been able to witness that a lot of professional services, like that example of the equity services, the research-ended services, customer service, back-end services have all gone to such a great extent that we've got a complete customized array of product for the people across the country. And that is also actually helping India to create job as well as move on to the mode of entrepreneurship. So what services sector has been able to do is that with the contribution of IT and with the help of emerging technology, the services sector has made leaps and bounds in terms of growth. In the coming years, what will be even more exciting for us is that with the advent of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and building into the data analytics and things coming into picture, probably the service sector would get even more stronger for India, and we would be able to cater to multiple needs across the society. Followed by the recent investments and developments. As I was talking about, look at the FDI inflow. It's worth about $95 billion that just poured into India, followed in the year from the March that of April 2000 to that of March 2022. The part in 22 years earning $100 billion. That's a very big success story that we are talking about. And nevertheless, with the help of services sector coming in and the forex inflows gathering up a lot of steam in India, definitely what I find and I feel is that the Indian sector is making up a huge amount of growth factor altogether. So that's where we are seeing that the Department of Promotion of Industry and the Internal Trade is also trying to push it to that extent, to that level where we will be able to seek growth in the coming years. Followed by in the October 2021, the Health Minister's e-Sanjeevani program that we have been talking about, the telemedicine that's come across, it has crossed 14 million in terms of consultations, in terms of its launch, enabling the patient to doctor consultations and which confined to the home. And in fact, we have made the medical tourism or the medical facilities available right at your doorstep. Now, this is one sector where I would like to speak about for a minute. Why? Because the medical sector, as in the healthcare sector, has always been a sunshine sector for India, an emerging sector that we have always tried to grow upon. Post-COVID, we have understood that healthcare and its importance have significantly gone up. So we are a kind of a nation which wants to give maximum importance in terms of growth, maximum importance in terms of the factors of the revolution altogether. So what are we trying to do here? What are we trying to push here is that using the advantage of services, using the advantage of the IT sector, can we make the medicine, can we make the healthcare sector even more accessible to the hundreds and thousands of customers out there? And that's what we are trying to now make it. At some point of time, we are here to redefine the healthcare so that it is made simpler simpler, and it is made available for each and everybody. So in the long run, probably healthcare sector would be again a big turnover factor coming in, a big game changer altogether that would be able to generate revenue as well as create a new front in the services sector. Followed by the government initiative. Now, the government of India never left any stone unturned. Rather, they went behind each and every opportunity, trying to create a huge amount of exposure, a huge amount of growth factor altogether. So let me just start with that factor looking here. The government of India recognizes the importance of promoting growth within services sector and provides several incentives across a wide varieties of sector like healthcare, tourism, education, engineering, communications and transportation, information technology, banking, finance and management among banks. With the advent of new education policy and the new emerging universities in India, and probably all of us know that India is now ready to welcome the top universities of world into our sector altogether. Now, what is happening here is that the government of India has slowly started recognizing the factor very clearly that every single sector has got an opportunity to enable service with it. Now, banking itself, for example, one of my favorite areas and sectors which I would always like to talk about, banking sector has been growing in leaps and bounds in multiple heights altogether, from just a financial service provider to a one-stop solution provider. Let me just enhance the example for you. 30 years back, when you would have talked about bank assurance to the State Bank of India or probably any other government bank, people would have just looked at you in all amaze, in all surprise altogether. But today, when you start going back in terms of understanding the entire factor, the entire ideology altogether of the banking services, today banks are able to provide hundreds and thousands of activities for you. They are able to give you so much of services which are so much integrated, so well defined for the customer, that the banking service sector has got even more greater presence than the product itself. Whenever we talk about sectors or the businesses like policybazaar.com or paisabazaar.com, all these sectors have enabled themselves by integrating with the bank and insurance company, trying to provide customers the one-stop solution. And with companies like ACO, now you don't even have to worry. Insurance has just become a one-touch rather than one-stop. You just have to touch on your enabled screens and you will be able to get the factors very clearly. Then you will be able to build upon your systems or your insurance very clearly. So that's the amount of government initiative, and government has also tried to see that everywhere we can give promotion to people around us in terms of various factors like education or in engineering or in communication, so that services sector will definitely move forward in terms of its growth. Followed by the road ahead. The most important thing that we need to talk here is that both the domestic, the global as well as the local factors have been enabling for the services sector. An extensive range of services industries have experienced double-digit growth, which is a fact, yes, in the recent year, supported by the digital technologies as we were talking about and by the support of the government. The most important thing is the ease of doing business in India has significantly increased. Now, whenever you see the advertisement of Uttar Pradesh state coming across your TV channels, or Madhya Pradesh or Odisha or Gujarat or Maharashtra or Karnataka, any other state for that matter, what has become very significant today is that India has started marketing each and every state and district in order to promote trade and technology. Now, what has happened here is that India has started behaving like a capitalistic economy, trying to promote each and every aspect of it, and we are trying to build a very strong brand a strong international presence rather, through which we would be able to tell the multinational corporations across the globe that India is ready to accept you. India is ready to take up the challenge. We have the people, we have the process, and we have the technology with us. So this is the right time. Please do come to India, invest and grow with us. And that's exactly what India has been doing in the past 10 years, by which what the government has also sent a very strong message to the people as well as to the international community is that India is no more a developing country, rather it is a developed country. It has come with a great announcement, it has come with a great pride and with a honor, saying that yes, we would be able to change the world. We are seeing a new India, we are seeing a new growth phenomenon altogether. So that's where I would say that the road ahead for India is more about becoming a stronger economy, probably the world's #1 economy, with every single sector opening its door and welcoming as far of investments as far as possible. So that's how you would see that the culture, the nature of the government is tried in terms of promoting this particular sector. Now, the other thing is that due to the ongoing changes in the areas of lowering trade barriers, FDI regulations and all those factors, definitely the trade is getting promoted. And by 2025, the healthcare industry is expected to reach a 372 billion, a massive income, a massive improvement altogether. And digital economy is going to touch about 1 trillion by 2025. And we ensure that by this year end itself, India's business services is expected to go at 14.3 billion with an 8% growth. Probably, sometimes I would be even surprised and I would be really elated to make this statement. Why? Because more than the GDP, the services sector itself is growing more than that. And that's exactly where India is becoming the service roadmap for the world. Now, the implementation of goods and service taxes has also helped up a lot with one common platform, and we have been able to reduce the cost in various sectors with the availability of the tax credit. India's software service industry has also made a lot of change, a rapid growth platform altogether. With this, I would like to come to the end of this particular session. I hope and believe that all the factors that have been discussed through this particular session will be of a great value to you, both in terms of practical walk of life as well as from the theory standpoint. In the upcoming sessions, we are going to discuss about the different plans that were involved in the pre-economic situation of India. But until then, stay tuned, stay blessed, and stay enlightened forever. Thank you once again for joining me today on this wonderful session.